Welcome back to the channel. My name's Tom, and today I'm at my local Walmart searching for toys, Easter candy, regular candy, and pretty much anything else that catches my eye. So come along with me and let's see what we can find. And don't forget, if you like this video, and especially if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. Thanks. Alright, so first up, the Easter candy. And I always like looking at the seasonal candy over here because I always find something that I've never seen before or never tried. And this is no exception. So we got some Peeps, which are pretty standard for Easter, but those ones are Dr. Pepper flavored. These are Rice Krispie Treats flavored. And I have had the Dr. Pepper ones before. They're okay. Haven't had the Rice Krispie Treats one yet. They got cotton candy flavor and cake flavor. Those actually do not sound good to me. But this one is Breyer's Cookies and Cream Ice Cream. So I decided to give that one a try too. And that one was the best out of all of them, I have to say. Really good. And then, of course, we've got your chocolate bunnies. And I would always go with the Russell Stover over this Frankfurt brand. And they also have another brand, Palmer. And Palmer and Frankfurt chocolate to me tastes like plastic. So I would avoid that at all costs. And the Russell Stovers are just barely more expensive. And another thing I've noticed a lot of recently is a lot of gummy candies. Not just little gummy bears, but these giant gummies. And don't get me wrong, I love gummy bears, but I don't want a gummy that big. That's just too big. Yeah, and this is one of those Palmer chocolates, which is total garbage. I've never seen these before either. These are Twix eggs. And I was thinking, you know, maybe they're eggs that taste kind of like Twix, but those are actually just gigantic Twix bars. It's exactly the same taste and consistency as a Twix, just shaped like an egg. So I highly recommend those. Those are great. And we've got these gigantic bunnies, and these are hollow. These are deceptive. It makes it look like you're getting a ton of candy there, but you know, that's probably a millimeter thick as far as the chocolate goes. So they look good, they don't taste so good. And they were expensive. I think that big one was 12 bucks. And this one was 5 bucks. This dog says it's a dispenser for candy, but I don't know where the candy comes out of. I was thinking it would be something like a Pez, but I didn't really see a mouth where the candy would come out from. And then this is a funny bunny. Apparently it walks and poops candy. Guess that's kind of fun, I guess. And more giant gummies. They're calling this a jelly bean blaster, but it's actually just a squirt gun, and it's got some jelly beans in it. I don't think the water and the jelly beans actually mix together. I think you actually empty the jelly beans out and then fill it with water, something like that. But it does not shoot jelly beans as you might think. At first I thought this was a giant lollipop, but it's actually a container full of small lollipops, so kind of disappointing. More gummy stuff. These are SpongeBob gummy candies, Krabby Patties. They're calling this edible grass, and I don't know about you, but when I hear edible grass nowadays, I don't think of candy. Oh, and this is a Skippy Peanut Butter Bunny. And some Super Mario jelly beans. Not exactly sure what this is. It says it's icy, like a slushy, but it's just powder. So I don't know. I don't know if you mix that into a drink or you just eat the powder raw. And I've tried these before. These are pretty good. They're by Cadbury, so they're like a Cadbury cream egg, except they're Oreos. They're crunchier than I was expecting. I was thinking something more creamy like a Cadbury cream egg, but nope, they're very crunchy. These are probably my favorite candy of all time. These are Russell Stover marshmallow eggs. They're $1.24 each. In the past, I swear these used to be like 50 cents each, so the price has gone way up, but I love them, so I did have to get one. And these are Easter Pringles, but as far as I can tell, they're just regular Pringles in an Easter container. More gummy Krabby Patties. I think these are just like those other ones we saw earlier. They're just in a different package. Alright, so now let's head on over to the toy section and see what they got. I know I've probably mentioned this 100 times before, but I'm into the toys that were popular in the 80s and 90s. So like Transformers, Sonic the Hedgehog, Star Wars, things like that. So that's what I usually look for when I'm here. So these are pretty cool. These are Sonic figures and also a bunch of like Mario Nintendo figures. And they're not that expensive. They're only about like $9 to $11 each. I did end up buying that classic Sonic. The only problem with them for me as a collector is I like to display them, but they're all in blister packs, which means I have to tear the pack open to put them on display. So that kind of tears me up inside with, you know, my OCD saying, oh, you're damaging the packaging, but I'm more interested in putting them on display now. So I do get over that and I do open these up. This one's from the Sonic 3 movie, which I actually haven't seen yet. So there's a few characters from that movie that I'm not familiar with. Like Super Sonic, I have never heard of him before. And I actually have a bunch of the Mario figures from the Mario Brothers movie. And they looked very similar to these, except they were slightly larger. I think the ones from the movie were 5-inch figures, and these are 4-inch. And they got Mario, one of the Goombas, Toadette. You've got Toad is in there somewhere. And then this is Donkey Kong. So I did end up buying him. I think he was $10 or $11, so not too expensive. And then this is Samus from Metroid. That's pretty cool. I might get that someday. I don't know. And then we've got Zelda figures. We got Link, and also Zelda's hiding in there. And I think these came out fairly recently. The problem with these types of things are I would love to buy all of them, but I would go down this rabbit hole where I start literally collecting every single figure that comes out, and then that just gets out of control. Kind of like how my character glasses are kind of getting out of control now, where I have to buy every one I've never seen before. So I'm doing my best to restrain myself and not buy every single thing I see. And then this is Sonic from the movies, which I don't like his design as much as the original. Kind of creepy.
I'm Sonic. Holy Sherbert! Gotta go fast! I'm Sonic.
Apparently he only says 2 things. These are called Gojitsu or Gujitsu, and I think they're stretchy figures, like Stretch Armstrong. And they kind of look like the Muscle Men figures from the 80s. Those little pink things that came in the garbage pail. Never heard of this guy before. I guess I need to see the movie. Back in the mid-'80s, I was really into wrestling. I was really into the WWF. And these are WW Superstars, which I guess is just World Wrestling now. But it used to be WWE, and then before that it was WWF. And I definitely recognize the Honky Tonk Man. But The Rock was later. That I think he was wrestling in the 90s, so I wasn't really into him. But I was into the classics like, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man, all those. And then this is my go-to section every week. I come in here, look for new Star Wars figures. These are the low-end Star Wars figures. They're not detailed at all, and that's why they're fairly inexpensive, on sale for $5 to $7 each. But I don't find those too interesting. I do like these. These are the Black Series, but they're generally not cheap. They usually go for about $20 to $24 or so. That one, though, was on sale for $12 because it's not a popular character at all. This is IG-12, and he was, quote, on sale for $27, so not an amazing deal in my opinion. Because I saw a lot of these when I did my walkthrough of the Ollies, and most of these were on sale for $9 or less. So if you're looking for Black Series figures, go to Ollie's. And these figures are a bit of a step up from the ones on the left in the blue and yellow packages. A little bit more detailed, but they're also a little bit more expensive.
That's so fun. You like this one? Okay, I'm glad. You like it? Fine. Let's turn, keep turning. Keep turning. Okay. Straighten out the bike. Seems like these glasses are fast.
And then these are from the Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron, which I have quite a few of. The only problem with these, again, for me, is that they're in blister packs. Some of the earlier ones were not in blister packs, and you could remove them, again, without destroying the box. But these, you've got to destroy them, or destroy the boxes. What I've been doing is I actually look for damaged boxes. So if I get one that's in a damaged box, I don't feel as bad about taking out the vehicle. So that's what I try to do. And then these Marvel figures here look a lot like the figures that came out back in the early to mid 90s. I think they're bigger though and more detailed, but they look very similar. These are much more expensive though. These are about $24, and I think back in the 90s they would have been almost certainly less than $10 each. Yeah, that's funny. That's Jonathan Majors from Loki. And as some of you might know, he's had some issues recently and they kicked him out of the role. So, of course, his figures are on sale. I don't know. I don't think I'm a fan of the design of these new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know. They don't look like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to me. Definitely prefer the 90s design. These are Fugglers, which apparently stands for Funny Ugly Monster, but I don't know. I think we all know that the F does not stand for funny. Never seen these before. And the Transformers. I loved Transformers back in the 80s, but these new Transformers are, I don't know, I don't like them. They're too complex, too many parts. Back in the old days, there were like maybe 10 moving pieces on a Transformer, something like that. And these new ones seem to have dozens or hundreds. I don't know. It's just not the same. Now, personally, I was never a fan of model kits just because I found them too hard as a kid, so I just never got into them. But I think it's kind of cool that Walmart now sells these classic style model kits. And I don't think they did a couple years ago. I think this is something they started selling again fairly recently. And it looks like most of them are 20 bucks each. They do have this one Star Wars model, which I would have bought just to collect it, but it's got a huge hole in the side of it. And here's the Lego aisle. Lego is something I never got into as well. I was into constructs as a kid, as I mentioned in one of my recent flea market videos. I loved constructs, but Lego never really got into it. And nowadays, I don't know about you, but working all the time, doing all these videos, I don't have the time to sit down and put together a Lego. It would take forever. And they're also really expensive. The big ones, like these on the top shelf here, go for well over $100. This one I think was $139, which it's cool. I would love to have these already put together and on display, but I don't know. I just can't find the time to put them together. And this one, which is the black Millennium Falcon, which I've never heard of before, is $180. So I think that's one of their more expensive ones here. And I know they can get way more expensive than that. I've seen a gigantic Star Destroyer, which went for almost $1,000, or maybe more than $1,000. So I'm not really sure how many of these they actually sell, because they always seem to be fully stocked. So I don't know if that means that they sell a lot, so they're always restocking, or that these have just been sitting on the shelves for months and months. I don't know. So here's a smaller Star Destroyer kit, and this one is still $70, which is not cheap by any means. And I'm sorry, this is not what Garfield is supposed to look like. Garfield's kind of supposed to look like a smartass. This looks like an innocent kitten. So I don't know what they're doing there. Thought this one was kind of neat. It's supposed to look like an old film camera. And it even comes with little fake photographs. And film, too. So that's kind of cool. And the MTV Moon Man. Haven't seen him since the 80s. And of course, now they're calling it the Moon Person, but I mean, come on. It's the MTV Moon Man. That's what he's called. And then one of the flowers from Mario Brothers. Here's a blast from the past. These are Mad Balls. Mad Balls were popular back in the 80s, but back then they did not have hair. I think the one I had was the giant eyeball. And these are kind of cool, but for whatever reason, the hair is actually putting me off. They're not too expensive, though. They're only $5.47. So I know it sounds weird, but I think if they didn't have hair, I would buy one of each. I guess this is the old school toy section, because they've got your old Wild West handcuffs here, which I did check, they are metal. And, you know, you got your cap gun. Of course, back in my day, the cap gun would have looked like an actual weapon, not that orange thing there. And then we got your jacks, Jackson Ball. I never played that. That was old when I was a kid. Nobody played that. Slinky. That's always fun. And I do prefer the metal Slinky over the plastic one for sure. Then we got some Etch-a-Sketches, and these look pretty much identical to the way I remember them. It might be slightly smaller though, it's hard to tell. And then this is a mini Light Bright, which I actually did end up buying. Because it was on sale, I think, for $4. I used to love Light Bright. Turns out after I put it together, I don't like Light Bright as much as I used to. And we've got your classic bottle of slime. And I thought it was funny. It actually says on it, this is not a food product, don't eat it. But I could see a kid actually trying to slurp that down because it does kind of look like food. It looks almost like applesauce. And then we've got some Play-Doh figures here. That's Black Panther and Spider-Man. Those are $9 each. And I saw some of those recently at a dollar store, and they were more expensive at a dollar store, which doesn't make any sense. And here's a Furby. I did not know they still made Furbies. It looks pretty much the same as the originals from the 90s. That's a Furblet. Let me know, are Furbies popular nowadays? I have no idea. And then this is just creepy. This is Fur Real. It almost reminds me of those creepy monkey toys you would get with the drum. Retro toys must be popular because this is a reissue of the original Rubik's Cube. And I think it looks almost identical to an original. Rubik's Cubes were something I remember playing with as a kid back in the early 80s, but I was never any good at them. Not at all. And they've got some mini arcades too. This is a mini Pac-Man. And I think this is by a company called My Arcade, and they are generally fairly poor quality. So this is kind of cool, but I still wouldn't buy it. And these are going for $14. And here's some more Legos. This one is based on a Polaroid SX70, I think, which is pretty cool. I've actually got an original Polaroid SX70 that looks almost identical to that, actually. Or very similar. They were asking $80 for that. And this is the DeLorean from Back to the Future, the time machine. And it says 18 plus on it. So to me that indicates 18 years old or older. And I thought it was funny. It's got a warning on it saying don't eat the batteries. If you're 18 or older and you're putting together Legos like this, I hope you know not to eat batteries. And here's a Care Bear. I was never into Care Bears back in the 80s because they were, they were generally considered girls' toys at that point, and I was not a girl, so I didn't get Care Bears, but I do like to see them. It's nice to see these nostalgic characters, but apparently nobody else likes Care Bears because they have a ton of them, and they're all on sale. And then I've never heard of this brand before, Auto World. Looks like a Matchbox or a Hot Wheel. But it's kind of a cool car. It's an old Lincoln Continental. Didn't see a price on it though, so I'm not sure what they were asking. And this figure of Big Boy, they've had this sitting here on sale for at least 2 years now, and I don't think a single one of them is sold. So apparently those are not popular. And I would love to get some of these pins, these Roger Rabbit pins and others, but they're $14 each, which, I don't know. For a pin, that seems kind of steep to me. So I'll wait till those go on sale as well. This is a replica of Batgirl's walkie-talkie from Batman, the TV show back in '67. It's kind of neat. And then over here, they usually have a lot of toys that are designed to be put on display, like not really played with, like these on the top row here. And a lot of these are kind of neat, and I'm really thinking about getting them, or getting some of them. This one is a Gremlin. He's $35. Very, very detailed. And then this is with The Last Ronin. I'm not familiar with that series, assuming it's anime. This is from The Witcher. Not a fan of The Witcher. Again, I'm more into the stuff from the 80s, so the Gremlins definitely interest me. And Beetlejuice, of course. He's $14. I actually saw him on sale recently at an FYE, I think, for maybe $7. And I thought this was pretty cool, too. This is a figure of Jason from Jason Lives. $35 again. That seems to be the most common price for these figures over here. The box was a bit beaten up, though. And then this is Jason from Friday the 13th, The New Blood. Not familiar with that movie. I'm familiar with Friday the 13th, but not The New Blood. So a lot of cool stuff. And again, if I had unlimited space, I would buy all this, and unlimited money as well. I would buy all this, but I have to control myself. And this is pretty cool, too. This is from Dinosaur. That's Earl. And these are really detailed. And he's $35 as well. I checked on Amazon, and pretty much all of these are going for the same price, about $34.99. I'm always surprised to see how cheap TVs are today. This 80-inch TV here is only $678. I'm sure it's not the best quality, but 10, 15 years ago, that TV would have easily gone for $2,000 to $3,000. And here's the Nintendo section. They got some Nintendo Switches here. It looks like $299 for the base model, and then $349 for the OLED, which seems to be about what they go for on Amazon. And I was kind of considering buying a Nintendo Switch until I heard that they're coming out with a Switch 2 in the not-too-distant future, so I think I'll hold off for that. And then I do have an Xbox Series X, so these are Xbox controllers, and some of them are like $60 for the fancy ones, but I just go with the old-school wired ones for, I think, $20 or $30, and they work fine for me. They're selling the Series X console for $499, which I think is what I paid for it maybe 3 years ago, so the price doesn't seem to have changed much. However, one thing the price has changed on a bit are these records. I remember back in the day, records were maybe $10, $15. Now they're, $20 to $30 or $40 is average. And I get that people collect them, but I just couldn't justify paying $30 for a record like this. One thing that I think is kind of odd about Walmart is they mostly sell DVDs, not even Blu-rays. DVDs are almost a 30-year-old medium at this point, so I would never buy a DVD. At least get a Blu-ray. I would think most people that still have physical players must have a Blu-ray player. They cost like $30 new, so it's not a problem of the players being too expensive, but I would just never buy a DVD at this point. And it's weird because most of the TVs they sell here, actually pretty much all of them, are HD. So a DVD is going to look pretty terrible on most TVs nowadays. And their 4K Blu-rays are also very expensive, $30 each, which is what they go for on Amazon. But I think 4K Blu-rays in general are just way overpriced. Okay, so here's a very important question. Which do you prefer, Swiss rolls or yodels? I'm going Swiss rolls all day long. And I have to say, oatmeal cream pies by Little Debbie, one of the best cookie type products out there. I could eat an entire box of those, which I know I shouldn't, but I could if I wanted to. And here's some classics. Fruit roll-ups, Fruit by the Foot, Gushers. I pretty much survived on these back in the 80s and 90s, and I still love them, but let's just say they don't love me. I tried some of these recently. These are Roku smart light bulbs. Basically, you control their brightness through a smartphone app. And I got these ones, these multicolor ones. They're kind of cool, but the thing I noticed was even on the brightest setting, like on white, they look extremely bright, but they don't give off much light. Don't know how to explain that. It's kind of weird. So basically, I can't use them. Somebody commented on one of my flea market videos recently asking, why do I buy all these old Polaroid cameras when I can't use them? And I actually can use them. They do still sell Polaroid film. It's just extremely expensive. So it works out to about $2 per photo. So that 40 pack on the bottom is $80. It's crazy. So it is possible to use those old Polaroid cameras. It's just very expensive. And we're in the candy aisle now. And these are Mr. Beast Feastables chocolates. And Mr. Beast, if you don't know, is like one of the most popular YouTubers out there. He's got like 70 billion subscribers or something like that. And I have yet to try those chocolates. From what I've heard, they're pretty bad. Or they're just not worth the hype. But if you've had Mr. Beast chocolate bars, let me know what you thought about them. They can never, of course, beat the classics like Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, which are probably one of my favorites of all time. So, of course, candies are not good for you, so one time I decided to try sugar-free candies. Well, if you've never tried sugar-free candies, I would recommend against it because, like this one here, they have a warning on them that say excessive consumption has a laxative effect. And I can tell you that is true. That is extremely true. I ate a whole bag of sugar-free gummies once, and let's just say it was a nightmare. So don't do it. You know, they taste good, maybe one or two of them. They taste fine, and they do have low sugar. But yeah, you eat a bag of these, you're in for a world of hurt. So these are the sugar-free gummies that I had. And even a bag this small, if you eat it, it's going to destroy your innards. If you don't believe me, though, go search on YouTube for videos on eating sugar-free gummies. And you'll find no shortage of videos showing you exactly what's going to happen to you if you do that. Alright, so now let's take a look down the clearance aisle and see what they've got. Sometimes I do find some pretty good deals down here. Usually, though, it's just a bunch of junk. And this time it was pretty much just a bunch of junk. Stumble Flakes. I don't know what that is. It's probably some Gen Alpha thing that I'm not aware of. Not surprisingly, they've got some Black Panther figures here. This one's only $15, which again, if you go to Ollie's, you can probably find that for under $10. So not a great deal. I have no idea what that is. This looked kind of neat. These are Govee curtain lights. Not sure if this was supposed to be in this section, though, because I didn't see a clearance tag on it. But I'm not really sure what I would do with that. So I did leave it. And they've got Patriot hoses on sale for $15. Not exactly sure what makes it a Patriot hose, but apparently nobody wants to buy them. And some of these discounts are just not that great. This one is $26 for this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy. It's supposedly $8 off. And then this Transformers $12. So I guess they are discounted, but not that much. At least not enough for me to buy them. This is a Jurassic World Chaos Theory toy. It's $15. And apparently you put some sort of chip in his tail there. I guess it makes sound? I'm not entirely sure how that works. And then this Pikachu is $7. Probably because the box is all torn to shreds. Never seen this one before. Apparently Iron Man has a spaceship now. And it's on sale for $14. And they've got this Optimus Prime Transformers 1 toy on sale for $11. If it looked like Optimus Prime did back in the 80s, I might have bought that. And then not surprisingly, they've got some Captain America Brave New World toys on sale here, because I guess that movie is just not that popular. I saw it in the theaters. It was okay. And I saw this as I was walking by. It's some Darth Vader painting or picture, whatever you want to call it. $15 though. For that, I would say I wouldn't pay more than 10 for something like that. So I say 15 is overpriced. And then these caught my eye too. These are some more, again, I don't know what to call them. Paintings, pictures, things to hang on your wall. And these are made out of that fiberboard that the cheap furniture is made out of, and they smell like it too. So I think they basically took the scraps from making that cheap furniture and just, you know, put these images on. On the top shelf, I think those are Easter baskets, and I also think those are Care Bears. When I was a kid, one of the things I loved to do when I went to the store was look at the posters. So I haven't looked at posters in probably 20 years at this point, so let's see what they got. So they got a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's, a lot of Hello Kitty, Strawberry Shortcake, that's a classic, and a lot of anime stuff, which I never got into anime. It's more Hello Kitty, Sonic 3, more anime on the left, and I guess that's a basketball player. Michael Jordan, he's definitely a basketball player, or he was. Squid Game, Call of Duty, generic skeletons, Poppy. I'm not sure what Poppy is. Coraline, that's a good movie, Coraline, if you've never seen it. More anime, Minecraft. Nuka-Cola, that's from Fallout. Wicked, Beetlejuice, more Hello Kitty. Not sure what that is on the left. Yeah, I don't know what any of this stuff is. You know, I remember back in the 80s and 90s, a lot of these posters, even in this section of the store, would have been like Sports Illustrated swimsuit models and a lot of cars. I remember the Ferraris and Lamborghinis were really popular, but I guess not anymore. And if you're a huge fan of Peeps, you can actually get Peeps clothing for your children. I definitely don't remember there being Peeps clothing when I was a kid. In fact, I'm sure there wasn't. And they've got Peeps toys too. I don't know, they don't seem to be too popular though, because I don't see a lot of these getting sold. Maybe closer to Easter they'll get a little bit more popular, maybe. Here's some Easter baskets. And I don't know about you, but if I was a kid and I got this basket, that's 3 balls and just a few bags of candy, I'd be disappointed. For me, Easter was all about the chocolate. But that's just me. Now, I'm really into stuff from the 80s, as you well know, but I don't think I'd ever buy a Smurfs shirt like this. Just don't think I could pull it off. Then they've got some Mickey Mouse shirts. And who is that? Is that Bluey? Might be, I don't know. And then a Captain America shirt. And they've got band shirts too. They got Sublime. I'm assuming that's the band from the 90s. Got the Misfits. Dolly Parton. More Sublime. Hello Kitty, and then Bad Company. Surprisingly, they've got a ton of Bad Company shirts, and they're all on sale. I'm shocked that kids nowadays don't want to buy Bad Company shirts. Shocking. And finally, my favorite out of the bunch, Def Leppard. I would get that if I wore t-shirts, but I don't really wear t-shirts, so. And there you have it. That was my trip to Walmart. If you liked this video and you want to see more like this, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and hit that notification bell. I've got a lot more mall videos, store walkthroughs, and of course flea markets coming up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.